I'd like to introduce right now Wendy Liedeman. So Wendy, take it away. And if you have been muted, if you could unmute, if you can mute yourself again so Wendy can speak, and she's going to share her screen.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Wendy Liedeman. I have lived here for 11 years. I lived here before we had a Cheers-like place to go get a drink. I never went to the restaurant when I first moved here. I was single, and it wasn't a very welcoming place for a single person at all. So I cheered when they finally decided to build a bistro. So in that, we have a little bit disagreement here in our house, but my recollection is that it opened in early 2013. So it's been around for about 8 years. It was intended to bring more revenue in. The restaurants, I don't know how many of you might have attended John Yu's or attended yesterday's CBOD meeting. I'm going to get into this a little bit more, but one thing I wanted to clarify right up front is John Yu talked about I do make revenue and I have contributed. And the Villages is a non-profit corporation. So any revenue that John makes rolls right back in. So he does indeed make money, but he doesn't cover his costs. And that's what we're going to focus on today. We're assessed on a monthly basis, $366, I think it is, as an assessment for food and beverage services. That's a lot of money over the course of a year. If you add that to the club assessment, add that together, we're paying a lot of money. The club assessment, I mean, is for the clubhouse, for the structure of the building. It comes out to $688.32 per unit per month. We could do a lot with that money. So I'm going to kind of go through a little bit overview here, look at the numbers, and then I really want to take a top level look. What opportunities are there for change? So with that, I'm going to open my handy dandy presentation. So if I can get it going here, come on, open. There we go. Can you see it?
No, but
okay.
Remember that one extra step we had?
Here we go again. Same thing I did last time.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be right there. Click to exit. All right, it's not the one I want. I have to do it a different way. Share screen. Okay, this one I think. Yes. Share.
There.
Let's go from beginning. And then I go, there we go. That's my title slide. Restaurant operations, opportunities for change, and that's what the Villages for Change is all about. What I've specifically been looking at in restaurant operations relates to the fact that we're a golf and country club. As a golf and country club, we're expected to have or to offer some type of dining. Our biggest problem right now is that the dining option needs to be something that our community can reasonably afford and is willing to pay for. Two big issues. Clubhouse operations, these are facts. These are from fiscal year 2019-2020. This is information that I gathered looking at a lot of board reports. Manji, who's on board, she's a real numbers detective, and she helped me assemble a lot of this. As you can see, our revenue from the clubhouse, from revenue operations, there's 3 entities. We're talking about catering, the dining room, and the bistro. Revenue was 2.9 million. The cost of operations was 2.591. And as you can see, that would mean there would be a profit there, about 395,000. However, the club food and beverage assessment was $791,232, which basically leaves us a loss of 405,000. I have all these numbers. You can see them. There'll be a fact sheet that will eventually go up on the VFC website. It's interesting to note, the biggest component of our cost of revenue operations is wages, salary, taxes, and benefits. The assessment is the assessment for the food and beverage goes to everybody. It's in the club number that Dell talked about. The only way we can affect that is to increase revenue in the clubhouse. And that's what I'm going to talk about next. Some of the things we need to know and we need to understand is if the clubhouse can't cover its cost, we need to identify why. I have a list. This is a laundry list. What percentages of villagers frequent the restaurants? Who are the primary customers? What's most popular? Do they have regulars? If you go to the bistro every once in a while, which I do, they do. The regulars sit at the bar. The same people are at the bar every time I go in there, every time. But I meet a lot of other people sitting around, so I can't say it's the same crowd all the time. Are there seasonal changes in the number of restaurant bistro goers? Does it mean if the weather's inclement, do they tend to go back? If it's cold, do they stay home? If it's dark at 5 o'clock, do they venture out? I don't like to be out in the dark. I don't venture out. What are the most popular times? Depend on the day of the week, whether the sun's shining, what's going on. It's really important to understand what kind of a dining experience are people looking for. Are you just looking, it's a great place to get a quick sandwich and a drink and I just finished a round of golf or played tennis, something, just want to chat a little bit afterwards. Are you looking for a real experience? Is it a go-to place? Are any of our restaurants somewhere where you call your friends, hey, you just got to come down here. Our restaurant's fantastic and you're going to love it here. Is it an experience? And then the other mystery to me is one of the things I have been unable to untangle completely is how much revenue do we get? How do you separate out the revenue between the dining room and catering? I can't find it anywhere. I can tell you that the bistro and bar operation is this year, well, 2 years ago in 2019, 2020, it represented 48% of the revenue. So the 52%, where's it coming from and what is it? And then the dynamic is shifting. The last report I saw was that they were expecting that the bistro revenue was going to be 52%. So it's obviously being used. It's a popular venue. So I'd like to know, is catering coming just from internal? Is it all the clubs, the Italian club, the golf the twilight tournaments, the men's tournaments, all that stuff? Or are we bringing money in from the outside and what does that look like? The next question for me is, I think it begs the question here, is our restaurant model outdated? Do we need 2 full service restaurants, 2 sit down, have a waiter come out or waitress come out, you have an assistant waiter in most of those situations. They come out and they make sure you have a knife and a fork and give you water. Then you have the waitress or waiter come over, they take your orders. Do we need that kind of service? Is it very efficient? Employing 54 people in the restaurant, 54, there's a full-time equivalent. We couldn't actually get quite the number. And we also don't know what all 54 people do. But it's a big nut to crack. I looked at the hours a day that we operate. The clubhouse dining is open 39 hours a week. The bistro all day dining. Now this is pre-pandemic because we have cut back a bit. Pre-pandemic, it's 13 and a half hours a day, 94 and a half hours per week that the bistro is open. That's a lot of hours. And as you'll see, if you look at the numbers here, there's a lot of overlap in the hours. Do we need to have that level of service? How many people are there? We don't know. We don't have the statistics on the number of people. How many, I can't do a statistic and or calculation with the revenue by server. We need to know that kind of information so that we can actually make some decisions or some recommendations on how this restaurant operates. A lot of people say, there's too many people. I can justify 54 people based on all those hours and all the overlap, but I can't tell you that they're busy all the time because I don't know who's in the restaurant and what they're doing.
Okay. So with that, I think that was a really great kind of overview. And I think it's probably questions that many of us have felt, like wondering why are all these people standing around and
Surly.
Yeah, we are definitely paying a lot of people, even though we know there has been a reduction through COVID, correct, Wendy?
Actually, that if you were at the meeting yesterday, there is going to be a reduction. They've had, I think they've only let a couple of people go, and I think that those people were really part-timers. When they report the number of employees, they report full-time equivalent. So I'm not exactly sure. I do know that we had two restaurant managers, one in the morning shift and one in the evening shift, and they're down to one. So I don't know. Obviously they didn't do a backfill on that. So we haven't been in the restaurant. We haven't been there. So I have no idea. I assume they didn't fill it because they didn't have a need for it. But we did keep the employees on board because we applied for and received PPP loan, payroll protection plan loan. So as of yesterday, Mike Filarski reported that the bank hasn't even asked us about, repaying it or what we have to do. We met all the requirements as far as we know, so we don't have to repay it, but that's still a question that's out there.
Okay, I have a question here from Ron Steckel. I know you all know who Ron is. And so Ron and Wendy, can you pull your share screen down?
Hello.
And then be ready to answer questions. Here we
No,
go.
so
I wasn't quite finished yet, Helen.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
I have a couple more.
I apologize. I am so sorry.
No, I have, you didn't let me get to the opportunities for change yet. The things I think we can do.
This is why I should not be in charge.
No, it's fine. You probably saw 22 iterations of my presentation. That's probably why.
I have one up on my screen, and I swear to God, I thought I had the right one up.
That's
I
okay.
so apologize, everyone.
That's okay. I promise not to take up too much more of your valuable time.
No problem. I so apologize.
Okay, so now I have to go back to my slideshow, and I'm going to go through this really quick. From the beginning, slideshow, show me slideshow, resume slideshow. There we are. Okay, I'm going to go one more. Possible options for change. I did spend a lot of time looking at all these numbers. I really did. I've also gone out and I've talked to restaurateurs. I've talked to catering companies, not on behalf of the villages because I don't have the authority to do that, but I did ask them some questions. We have 54 people and, this just doesn't make sense to me. So a lot of the questions that they had said, why do you have so many hours? What do all those people do for all those hours? And so again, this comes to somebody, please tell me what's going on. So possible options for change.
585.
Some of these are things that I think we should do maybe immediately. The first one is we should reduce hours of operation. We're just not, and I'm talking post-pandemic. These are minimal things we can, or some of them are minimal things we can do post-pandemic. We can't address the pandemic issue. It is being addressed beginning, I think immediately they are going to let 13.9 people go. I don't know what a 0.9 person is, but they are reducing it. So their staff level is going to come down to around 40. But we're open too long. I just can't see that we're doing enough business to sustain the number of hours that we have. Looking at other restaurants, many restaurants and some of the country clubs in our areas are not open on Mondays for golf at all, and we're open half a day. The restaurants are not open on Mondays and Tuesdays in many cases. In one case, they only open their bar. So I've made a compromise. I said, no food service on Mondays, open the bar for happy hour only, and maybe get them packaged bar snacks so we don't lose the revenue. I would recommend limiting the clubhouse dining option. I have not gone to the dining room in, I would say, 8 or 9 years, and I've been here for 11. I was working when I first started, so that was part of it. It was closed by the time I got home from work. So limited dinner to Friday, Saturday evenings and Sunday brunch. Look into alternative restaurant models that exclude traditional table service. There are such things. We can talk about that in a minute. Offer catering services for external events. I know that we offer catering, they'll cater to your home if you want that. Maybe we can generate some more revenue by offering it to outside of our gates. Use temporary staff for a lot of this stuff. We tend to pay overtime to employees to work our banquets and our evening venues and things like that. We could use temporary staff to do that. Rent the clubhouse banquet rooms. Right now, all of the clubs at the villages don't pay to use the banquet rooms. They pay for the food, whatever they do there. We don't pay for banquet rooms. I'm not advocating that we, go around charging the clubs, but if we can rent those rooms outside to external companies, somebody wants to have a wedding and they want their own caterer, and our banquet room is sitting empty, would make sense for us to allow that to happen. Another idea was to work with external kitchens to provide food service instead of having our own food service operation. DoorDash is a model. There's commissary kitchens, there's ghost kitchens, there's centralized kitchen facilities. There's other ways to do this where you could go in and there's a broad array of restaurants, different ethnic types. You could have African food, Middle Eastern food, Chinese, whatever, Thai, whatever you're looking for. It's all co-located, so you could order it and they bring it in, it's all ready to go. The other one is a big one. It's look into outsourcing the entire entity. It would take some, I don't know how you would pull it apart. It was looked into 10, 11 years ago, and it was soundly voted down by Villages residents. They did not want airline food. That was the reason that I was given. And that also was the genesis for the bistro. The last suggestion I would make is possibly hire a restaurant consultant. There is a group down in there, they have an office in Morgan Hill, that they come in, they look at all your operations, they look at your menus, your staffing, your hours, all that stuff, and try to help you find ways to create efficiency so that you can improve your bottom line. Then my final little slide is, I think we need to do a survey residents to find out what they want, what's nice to have, and what they really must have in a dining facility. And I would love to see a restaurant study group at the board level to investigate this and to look at it very, very seriously. This is a real problem for us. I agree with Helen and Valerie that, that extra $200 a month would give people more ease. I have friends who have moved from here. They could no longer afford it. They have to make decisions about having a $25 lunch with our golf group, because that would mean, that's one day of golf that they can't do. So it's a serious, serious problem. And that's it. I could go on, but I'm going to be quiet now.